Ahad, Himena tovu manaim, Sheverahim gam yahad. How pleasant it is to dwell together in peace. That's what those words mean. I have to use the ramp, sorry.
Good morning. I'm Franklin Heller, today's worship associate, along with our neighborhood faiths class, and also today's Passover worship coordinator. Welcome to the Morristown Unitarian Fellowship. Welcome especially any newcomers, returning members, and anyone who is joining us online today. If you're tuning in live on YouTube or Facebook, please say hi in the chat or comments. We're delighted to have you in Chew Hall or online for our first ever service here in Chew Hall. We're a community of many ages, but we all worship together. You can join us many ways on Sundays, including online, in our normal worship space over in the sanctuary, or from one of the many rooms in our building where we live stream the service. In particular, I want to draw your attention to our family room for families with little ones, which is located to the left of the sanctuary in the adjoining building. The family room is especially great if you need a space to talk, soothe a crying infant, get the wiggles out. Our service is live streamed there, so you won't miss a thing. Kids of all ages are welcome in our services, especially on Passover. We offer childcare as an additional option for families with small children ages 9 months to 5 years. Parents, if you find yourself in need of childcare at any point during the worship today, please bring your little ones to room 201 at the top of the stairs in the adjoining building. Again, welcome, and we're glad you're with us today.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Passover, too. Passover, or Pesach in Hebrew, is one of the most significant holidays in the Jewish calendar. It commemorates the liberation of the Israelites from slavery in ancient Egypt, as described in the book of Exodus, the second book of the Torah. The holiday lasts for 8 days, starting on the 15th day of the Hebrew month of Nisan, which I think was last Saturday. During this period, Jewish families come together to share a special meal called a Seder, which we have here on your tables, which includes the retelling of the story of Exodus, prayers, songs, and symbolic food. Passover is not only a time of remembrance and gratitude for freedom, but also a celebration of renewal and hope. Passover is rich in cultural traditions and customs that have been passed down through the generations. One of the most well-known customs is the prohibition of eating leavened bread, or bread made with yeast, or chametz during the holiday. Instead, Jews eat matzah, an unleavened bread, which symbolizes both the haste with which the Israelites left Egypt and the humility that comes with freedom. The Seder plate, which is central to the Passover meal, contains symbolic foods such as bitter herbs representing the bitterness of slavery, and charoset, a sweet mixture symbolizing the mortar used by the Israelis in their forced labor. Passover is also time for family gatherings, for storytelling, and reflection on the themes of liberation, justice, and human dignity. The story of Passover is rooted in Jewish history and identity. According to the Torah, the Israelites were enslaved in Egypt for over 400 years before God sent Moses to lead them to freedom. The pivotal moment in the Exodus story is the 10th of the plagues, when God struck down the firstborn of Egypt to compel the Pharaoh to release the Israeli slaves. But God passed over, the angel of death passed over the homes of the Israelites, who marked the doorposts with lamb's blood. This event led to Pharaoh finally releasing the Israelites, who then embarked on a journey to their promised land. The Exodus narrative has become a powerful symbol of resilience, of hope, and the enduring spirit. It has also inspired many other movements for social justice and liberation throughout history. Passover holds profound religious significance for Jews around the world. It is not only a commemoration of historical events, but also a spiritual journey that connects individuals to their faith and community. The rituals and the prayers of Seder emphasize the themes of freedom, redemption, and divine intervention. The Haggadah, the text used during the Seder, guides participants through the retelling of the Exodus story and includes blessings, songs, and discussions about the meaning of the holidays. Passover is a time for Jews to reflect on their relationship with God, their heritage, and their responsibilities to promote justice and compassion in the world. I'll finish with the traditional Hebrew blessing of the matzah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who brings bread out of the earth. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, lahadlik matzah. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy through your commandments and commands us to eat matzah.
Now it's time for our milestones and passages. Sometimes we come to this sacred place with a lot on our hearts. Maybe you got married, or you lost a job, maybe you recovered from an illness, or perhaps you're going through a divorce. Whatever the joys or sorrows of your life, you can share them in our service by filling out one of our milestones and passages forms before 9 a.m. on Sunday. You can do that either online or by filling out one of our cards. We have a few milestones and passages to share today, so please respond after each by saying we hold you in our hearts. And if you are joining us online today, I invite you to participate in our chat. This morning, Bob Calafiore shares the following words. He writes, "Dear friends, this week I moved from palliative care to hospice care, which is totally dedicated to making my final days as comfortable as possible while I navigate the many difficulties of a slowly deteriorating lung condition and body. I watch the Sunday service every week with the hope of seeing you in the audience. I miss being with you very much and wish you nothing but joy. We hold you in our hearts." This morning, Rita Morris shares that Arlene Shapiro, a longtime member of the fellowship, has been in the Morristown Medical Center since March 31st after suffering a stroke. Please stop by the table in the Great Hall today after our service to sign a Thinking of You card. Also, cards can be sent to Arlene via Rita Morris at Rita's address. And also, visits to the hospital to visit Arlene are welcome as well. We hold you in our hearts. Let's take a quiet moment now for the prayers and meditations of our own hearts. Go ahead and close your eyes if you would like and get comfy in your chair. Take some time breathing. Hear the breaths of the people around you, this community that is holding you. Feel the spirit of life holding us all in this still moment. Let's go ahead and take 3 deep belly breaths together and then a moment of silence. Amen and blessed be. Now let's please remain seated as we sing hymn number 337, Have I Not Known? And of course the words are up on your screen. I guess you don't really need the number, do you?
Welcome. We come now to the time in our service each Sunday when we pause to give our gifts of financial support to this congregation. Your donation makes all that we do here together possible and also helps make our wider community a better place. That's because each Sunday we give at least half of the money we collect to a unit or an organization that is doing good work to advance our Unitarian Universalist values of love, justice, new word, justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity in a world that hungers for them now more than ever. Today's offering will be split 50-50 with the Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism, or BLUU. As it's sometimes called, BLUU is committed to expanding the power and capacity of Black UUs within Unitarian Universalism, providing support, information, and resources for Black Unitarian Universalists, and justice making and liberation for Black people throughout our faith. You may give in our collection plate or by following the instructions printed in your order of service and shown on the screen. Thank you in advance for your generosity.
I noticed a few of you singing along. It's traditional on Passover to tell an old story, the story from the Hebrew Bible about how the ancient Hebrews escaped slavery. And the story goes like this. Once upon a time, a vast community of Hebrews lived in Egypt. They'd arrived many generations earlier to escape famine in Israel and grew into a large population over the centuries. Egypt's ruler, Pharaoh, disliked having so many immigrants in his community. He decided that the Hebrews were a security threat, and he enslaved them. He didn't send them off to forced labor camps in El Salvador like our own would-be Pharaoh. No, he enslaved the people in Egypt and forced them to build cities for him. Still, the Hebrew population kept growing because tyranny never gets the last word. When Pharaoh learned that even slavery couldn't keep the Hebrew people down, he tried something horrible. He ordered the deaths of the Hebrews' newborns. He commanded Egypt's midwives to kill newborn male infants and told everyone to cast new babies into the river. But again, tyranny never gets the last word. The midwives disobeyed Pharaoh. Even though it was against the law, they were brave and refused to follow Pharaoh's command. Meanwhile, just as bravely, a young mother refused to throw her baby into the river. Instead, she hid him in a floating basket and sent him drifting gently downstream. He not only survived, but floated to where an Egyptian princess was swimming. She named him Moses and raised him as her own. Even though Moses grew up in an Egyptian princess's home, he still knew right from wrong. Tyranny never gets the last word. And one day, he saw an Egyptian overseer mistreating several workers, and he stopped him from hurting them or anyone else ever again. Attacking an Egyptian was against the law, and Moses got into a great deal of trouble. So he had to flee Pharaoh's wrath, and he became a fugitive from the law. Now, Moses could have probably lived a nice life in hiding, but Pharaoh was continuing to oppress the Hebrew people, and remember, tyranny never gets the last word. So one day, while living off of the grid in the desert, Moses saw something amazing. He saw a bush. Far away, it appeared to be on fire, but up close, he saw that it wasn't burning. It was totally green and healthy inside the flames. Now there's a metaphor. And even more amazing, a voice seemed to come forth from the bush. The voice said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham. And Moses was shocked. He realized that meant he was a Hebrew, not an Egyptian. But he was in for even more of a shock because the voice in the bush continued. I have seen my people being oppressed in Egypt and heard their cry for release from their slave masters, the voice said. Therefore, I will send you to Pharaoh so that you can lead my people out of Egypt. Now, Moses thought that was the most audacious thing that he had ever heard. He could not imagine himself being capable of doing anything like that. But the voice in the bush was not willing to let him off the hook. Gather all of the Hebrew leaders and go with them to Pharaoh. Tell him that all of the Hebrews need to go out into the desert together to pray. He will refuse, but I will force him to listen. Moses wasn't convinced that he was the right guy for this cause. He wasn't a leader. He wasn't even good at talking to people. But God, he said, I have never been eloquent. I am slow of speech and slow of tongue. And the voice in the bush said, go, and I will be with you. When the time comes, you will know what to say. So Moses went. He put his wife and sons on a donkey, and he started off for Egypt. Let's go ahead and pause now as we do here to sing before continuing our sermon. We're going to sing just the first 2 verses of When Israel Was in Egypt Land. This is an African-American spiritual inspired by this ancient story. It gave people the courage to escape slavery in our own country. And any of our junior worship helpers who would like to help lead the hymn are welcome to come up front now. Let's go ahead and actually have a stand sort of on the sides so that we can not be facing that. Please rise as you are able. When Moses returned to Egypt, he went to Pharaoh as instructed and said, "Let my people go." But just as the voice in the bush had predicted, Pharaoh refused. "I won't let Israel go. I need those Hebrews to keep working. And you too, get back to your labor." And even worse, after their meeting, Pharaoh ordered his slave masters to make the Hebrews work even harder. "They're complaining because they're lazy," he said. "Give them harder work to do. That will keep them too busy to pay attention to rabble-rousing speeches." At first, it worked. The enslaved Hebrews suffered and blamed Moses for it. They stopped listening to his words about freedom. They thought they would never escape Pharaoh. But remember, tyranny never gets the last word. Have you ever heard the phrase, power concedes nothing without demand? Or perhaps the phrase, no justice, no peace. Tyrants like Pharaoh don't suddenly decide to do the right thing just out of the goodness of their hearts. They do the right thing because pressure is placed on them, pressure that prevents them from having any peace until they end their tyranny. And that's what happened. Tradition calls what happened next the plagues. With each plague, Pharaoh faced more pressure to end his oppression. And for this next part of the story, I invite you to participate with me. So this is time to begin pouring some grape juice into your glasses. And as I share each plague that put pressure on Pharaoh to let the Hebrew people go, I want you to dip your pinky finger in the grape juice and touch the edge to your plate. And the sweetness of the grape juice reminds us that even though freedom is sweet, the plagues were not. They were a sad and painful experience for everyone, and that's why we put the sweetness of the grape juice aside rather than tasting it. In doing so, we remember that we must never rejoice in the suffering of others, even our enemies, when we fight for justice. And so I'm going to continue now to keep us moving along. And we're going to learn about the 10 plagues. First, all of the water in Egypt, from huge rivers to the tiniest buckets, turned to blood. Ew. Still, Pharaoh didn't let the Hebrews go. Then the second plague struck. Frogs. There were frogs everywhere. They climbed all over people. They were all over their food, too. They even climbed into Pharaoh's bed. Ew. But Pharaoh didn't let the Hebrews go, so more pressure was applied. The third plague came. Lice. Itchy, nasty, biting lice. Ew. Pharaoh still refused to let the people go. Fourth came insects, swarming, flying, buzzing insects all over the place. Ew. But Pharaoh still refused to let the Hebrews go. So the fifth plague struck, diseased livestock that no one could eat. Pharaoh still refused to let the Hebrews go. And then came the sixth plague, sores like boils all over people's bodies. Ew and ow. Still, Pharaoh refused to let the Hebrews go. So along came the seventh plague, a great hailstorm with ice stones so big that they crushed plants and people. Pharaoh still refused to let the people go. Next came the eighth plague, locusts, which are kind of like grasshoppers, but not as cute. The locusts gobbled up everything, every single plant. By now, Pharaoh's people were beginning to urge him to let the Hebrew people go free. See what pressure does? It doesn't just encourage evil leaders to stop their tyranny. It also encourages those who might otherwise be complicit to join the protest so that peace can be restored. No justice, though, no peace. Pharaoh still refused to let the Hebrews go, so the pressure continued, and the ninth plague struck. Darkness. Darkness covered the whole land. But still, Pharaoh wouldn't let the Hebrews go, and so the 10th plague came, the most terrible plague of all. In each household, from Pharaoh's own to the humblest peasant family, the firstborn child died. But every Hebrew family marked their doors with lamb's blood so that God would know to pass over their houses, and because of this, their children lived. And that's why this time, when we retell this story, is called Passover. The 10th plague was finally enough. Pharaoh told Moses, "Up and leave my people. Go, get out of here." And so the Hebrews left. They left so fast that they didn't have time to let their bread rise. Instead, it formed hard crackers like the matzah that we eat today. The Hebrews entered the desert and they headed off toward Israel. And God went in front of them in a pillar of cloud by day to lead them along the way, and a pillar of fire by night to give them light. But Pharaoh changed his mind and sent his army after them. And they raced each other toward the Red Sea, and the people were terrified. Their backs were pressed to the ocean, and there was nowhere to flee the army. But then Moses parted the sea with his staff so that the Hebrew people could run safely across. And when only the Egyptian army was left, Moses allowed the path to close, and the army was washed away. In one legend, according to Haggadah by Nancy Kronk, the angels themselves rejoiced when Pharaoh's army drowned. But God told them to stop, because it is always sad when people are hurt or die. The legend says God would have preferred for the Jewish people to have been freed without the loss of life, and was sad that Pharaoh's army was killed, but happy that Moses and the Jewish people were finally free. The Hebrew people were happy to be free finally too. Everyone sang and the women danced with their tambourines. So my friends, what are we to make of this ancient story? It is a violent and bloody tale with a lot of pain and death in it. But so, too, is oppression, and so sometimes, too, is liberation. Rabbi Alfred Kolotok shares some wisdom in the Family Seder, a traditional Haggadah for the modern home. He writes, "Liberty is not achieved by complacency. It is not won without suffering the scars of battle. It is accomplished by selflessness and sacrifice. It is won through courageous action." According to the Bible story, God instructed Moses and the other Hebrews to tell their children and their grandchildren about their escape from slavery every year during Passover, so that the story and its lessons would never be forgotten. Modern Jews are those grandchildren, and this is their story. Some members of our own congregation are Jewish, and this is their story too. And that is why we are celebrating Passover today with them, all of us together. With each retelling, may we remember how the ancient Hebrews won their freedom. And may we remember that tyranny never gets the last word. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so. Let's all go ahead and stand again one more time to sing. This time we're going to sing the last two verses of when Israel was in Egypt land. And let's go ahead and part like the Red Sea to either side so people can see the screen.
Let my All right, you may be seated there, everyone. Now we come to the most important part of our service, our Seder plates, which you'll see on your plates there. There's 2 Seder plates, one with the traditional items on it, and there's one with rocks with paintings on them. Our neighboring faiths class, as part of their class, learned about the Seder and made those for you. So we ask as we go through these, you can participate in them if you are not one who wishes to eat at this moment for whatever reason. There are some rocks for you to hold and be part of as well in part of the service. That makes sense to everyone. With the things on them, right? Yeah, okay. Each of the items on the plates has a special meaning, and our neighboring faith class will share what's on each of the plates. So please try to sample them or to grab a rock if you need to. We are going to start off with the Zora, the shank bone. Why, Alistair, do we have a shank bone on the Seder plate?
Shank bone is symbolic of the lamb sacrifice made for Pesach. Pesach, I'm sorry. In the Temple of Jerusalem. In the Exodus story, the doorposts of the Jewish homes were marked with the animal's blood so that the angel of death would pass over their homes and not take their firstborn child. The Pesach sacrifices were made each year as a symbol of that act.
Next, we have the matzah, unleavened bread. Why do we eat matzah?
Matzah reminds us that when the ancient Israelites left Egypt, they had to leave suddenly without time to prepare. They departed so quickly that the bread they baked did not have time to rise.
The next item on our plate is the mora, the bitter herbs. Why do we do mora on the Seder plate?
Tradition says that this bitter herb is to remind us of the bitterness of slavery, and it is said they embittered their lives with hard labor and mortar and bricks. With this and with all manner the labor in the field.
Sorry. And then we have karpas, the greens. Why do we have karpas on the Seder plate?
The parsley represents the rebirth of the spring and the hope for the future, free from oppression. The salt water symbolizes the tears of the Israelite during their slavery in Egypt. We dip the greens in salt water.
Okay, I'll give everybody a second to
I got some
catch
salt
up.
water down here for those who need it. I got salt water in there. Yeah, then you need it. It seems weird, but it's actually kind of good. I like it. Go for it.
Next, we have the betza, the egg. Why do we have betza on the Seder plate?
The egg is a symbol of life and rebirth that occurs each spring, but the egg is also fragile, and so it also represents the potential that it can be destroyed. Growing life needs warmth, love, security, guidance, hope, and vision. Betza is a symbol of the independent web of life.
And then we have the haroset, the mortar. Why do we have haroset on the Seder plate?
Fruit, nuts, spices, and wine are combined to make this sweet condiment. Being the color of clay or mortar, it reminds us of the bricks and mortar used by slaves, Jews, and others in building the fairs, places, and cities. Yet the taste of the haroset is sweet and thus reminds us of the sweetness of freedom.
Next, we have tapuz, the orange. Why do we have an orange on the Seder plate?
The orange is a recent addition to honor women in Judaism. In the 1970s, the first women were ordained as rabbis. According to some, during a speech by Dr. Susanna Heschel, A man in the audience yelled out, "A woman belongs on the bema pulpit as much as an orange belongs on the cedar plate." A new tradition was born.
Now, it also symbolizes the struggle of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer and questioning, intersex, asexual, and other identities of people. Sadly, the news of the day has put many at risk.
This brings us to the end of our items on our Seder plate. Continue to eat of them. There is going to be extra haroset and matzah and stuff over on the side after we get through the service. So continue to eat that as we get through there. Yeah, we ask you to do it quietly, however, so that others can hear as we continue our service. There we go. Okay. Come on. Yep. Charlotte, you're up with me. All right, you're good. Charlotte, stay up here. And you and Sadie. All right. I'm going to stand over here. It is traditional in Seders for the 4 questions to be read by either the youngest child who can read or shared among the 4 youngest readers. Today, our questions will be read by Sadie and Charlotte. Charlotte, go for it. Ask me first. I'm going to pretend to know
On
that.
all other nights, we eat either leavened bread or unleavened bread. Why on Passover do we eat only unleavened bread?
When the Jewish people fled from Egypt, they were in a great hurry and did not have time to allow their bread and dough to rise. The sun baked their bread in its heat. And since the dough did not rise, it was flat. And they called this flat bread matzah. To remember this tonight, we eat only matzah.
On all other nights, we eat many kinds of herbs. Why on Passover do we only eat bitter herbs?
The Jewish people lived bitter lives in Egypt. We eat bitter herbs to remind us of their suffering and the suffering that many people still face.
On all other nights, we do not dip one food in another. Why on Passover do we dip parsley in salt water and the bitter herbs in haroset?
We dip parsley as a sign of new life, in salt water to remind us that even in the best of times, there may be sorrow.
On all other nights, people sit
Hold on.
up.
Hold on, I got more. We dip bitter herbs in haroset to remind us that even the most bitter experiences in life can be sweetened by hope and freedom. Now get me saved.
On all other nights, people sit up straight at the table. Why on this night may we recline during dinner?
Long ago, reclining at the table was a sign of a person. Was the sign of a person we may recline tonight to remind us that the Jewish people were freed from slavery. All right. Now we're going to sing our favorite song, Dayenu. You ready, Beth? We can stand up for this one.
I'm going to teach you the refrain first. One word in the refrain, Dayenu. Da, da, enu, da, da, enu, da, da, enu, da, enu, da, enu, da, enu, da, da, enu, da, da, enu, da, da, enu, da, enu, da, enu. Had he had us out of Egypt, only led us out of Egypt. Yes.
And Dayenu means it would have been enough. So
Yes.
So before we close, I'd like to draw your attention to our Minutes for Ministry. This is a time when we share a brief update about our congregational activities to help us stay engaged with our community beyond our Sunday service. So, as always, we are jam-packed, right? Please join us after today's service right here in Chew Hall for a wonderful Passover meal that was prepared by members of our Super Sunday team and the Green Apron team. So let's give them a big round of applause, because and really Nick did a tremendous amount of work to make this happen. So let's hear it for Nick. After lunch at 11:30, please join us for one of our adult programs. There are choices. Your choices this morning are the Buddhist Sangha, which will offer meditation and discussion in room 304, and an Odyssey program featuring our longtime member John Solu in the meeting room. All are welcome to both events. Also, on Sunday, April 27th, we are holding a social justice fair. That's 2 weeks from today, in Chew Hall. This is an opportunity to connect with our partners, both within the fellowship and outside the fellowship. Learn about organizations we split our plate with and how you can get involved and make a difference in our local community and the world. Participating organizations as of now are the Green Earth Ministry, MUF Immigration Justice, UU Faith Action, Days for Girls, MUF Social Justice Council, Morris and New Jersey Together, Family Promise, Nourish New Jersey, the League of Women Voters, GAMIC, and Homeless Solution. So I'm guessing there's some work for us to do, and it's time for all of us here at MUF to take the lessons of Passover and take it out to the wider world. So this morning I'd like to draw your attention also to the following other announcements. Any newcomers today who have not already done so are invited to fill out a welcome card to help you get connected with us. You can also talk to a welcome ambassador who would love to meet you and answer any questions. Look for a sunny gold sash. I don't know if there's one here, but there is, I guess. Here we go. Laurent, speak to Laurent. He's got an orange in his hand. So, and anyone who's needing a caring presence this morning will find a compassionate listening ear with one of our lay pastoral care associates. You will recognize them by their blue sash. Any blue sashes out there? I see a blue sash out there. That's, who is that? Carolyn. Carolyn. So Carolyn Schwartz, if you are looking for a good ear, Carolyn is there. Full details about these and many other activities can be found on the back of our order of service, our weekly newsletter, on our website at muff.org. And I think, how are we doing time-wise? Are we good, right? Okay, so, we can open, if anyone has, would like to make a mic announcement from our ministry team or committees, please keep your announcement short because there's food to eat and we don't want to keep people waiting. So does anyone have, here we go, Shari.
Good morning, I'm Shari Lowe. Nice to see you all. I have two short announcements. One, in May I will be attending the 180th commencement of Meadville Lombard Theological School. Meadville is the oldest Unitarian, now Universalist seminary in the world. And this year they are offering some new virtual online sharings. The first one is tomorrow night, look in your newsletter, and you'll find the link to register. It's at 7:30. There will be a talk by my good friend Pamela Lightsey, entitled "Writing Our Intentions for This Era: A Womanist Perspective on Liberationist Solidarity." She's fabulous. The next one on the 29th is a deep dive into the archives, which go back 175 years of Unitarian Universalist history. That's going to be exciting. And finally, on May 6th, Elias Ortega, who was a longtime member here, is starting his second term as president of Meadville, will be presenting on the work being done at Meadville about how we bring along the next cohort of Unitarian Universalist ministers. So please check your newsletter for that as well. Okay? Announcement. There will be a meeting to organize an Easter egg hunt and other festivities to celebrate Easter next week in Room B, right after you get your coffee or your food or whatever. Please join us.
I just want to thank everyone there was a lot of people who put work together in this, and I really very much love us being in Chew Hall here. So I know Franklin gave me a shout out, but Franklin put this in put this in motion. And I know many people are in here 10 minutes before we opened the doors, putting chairs out and stuff. So everyone worked hard. It's amazing to be here together during this wonderful service. So I just want to thank all of you all for Chew Hall, for being here today and making this kind of a very unique and fun and exciting thing. And to our neighboring faiths class for really helping out. There we go. Now I'm good.
It's time now for us to bring our time of worship to a close, and although we extinguish our chalice flame, its light will continue to burn in our hearts. As we go out into our daily lives, I leave you with the words of the Reverend Deborah Hafner. We are on a journey. We didn't plan it. We didn't have time for the bread to rise. We may find ourselves in the wilderness, hungry, thirsty, doubting that we should have ever come. But look around. We are not alone. It is our journey together, a journey to our better selves, a journey to a better world, a journey to a more promised land. Amen. Blessed be, and go in peace.